What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This. This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 and either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now today we begin our talks on the Necromancy Wizard, the one that seeks to bring everything back and gain a lot of benefits in the process. But how good is it compared to all of the other ones? We will just have to find that out today. But before we do, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. We are less than 50 subscribers away from 5,000. We were hoping to get there by the end of last year, but it's okay. We've slowed down quite a bit ever since the 2024 stuff came out. But you know what? We got 4 weeks left of 2014 stuff, and we will get through it, and then we're moving on, and it's going to be a good time. So make sure to subscribe so that you are ready for when we start talking about that. Share the video with your friends, and of course click the bell so you're notified when new videos are uploaded. The Necromancy Wizard is a fun archetype, right? Everybody has at least considered doing something like this. While they tend to lean on the evil side, I'm sure there is a way that you can make this to where it's somebody who's not so evil, but raising creatures back from the dead, gaining power from them yourself, using them to do your bidding and operate your machinery while you do whatever it is you do. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that can happen, but is it any good? Let's go ahead and find out. At level 2, we get a couple of features, and the first, of course, is going to be Necromancy Savant. We've talked about this with all of the other OG wizards. You get half cost of the actual cost in gold and the actual time in order to put certain types of spells in your book of the right spell school. We're not going to rank this because so many of them get an equivalent, but just know it is good if you find a spell scroll or something like that. But what we will be ranking, of course, is the feature that is unique to us, and that is Grim Harvest. And this is a very interesting feature and a really cool way to start something that is in this archetype. So again, at level 2, when we get this, once per turn, whenever we kill one or more creatures with a spell that is first level or higher, we can regain hit points equal to twice the spell's level, or 3 times if it is a necromancy spell. We do not get this benefit on constructs or undead. So this feature is really cool, and it is very flavorful for what it is we are wanting to do as a necromancer, right? We are going to want to raise things from the dead and draw life force from things that are dead, or in our case, are dying and they are being taken from this world. This is a very, very cool feature. Now, obviously the healing is not the best, but it really depends on the spell, and it can vary pretty wildly, right? So if we take something out with a magic missile, we get 2 HP back, right? It's not that impressive. However, if we drop a cloud kill and take out a ton of people, then we start to see that this has a little bit more worth to it, right? So it really is very, very wildly varying depending on the situation and how you set these things up. I think that AoE spells are going to have a lot of value here. I think it's going to be really, really important how this works, but ultimately you have to be the one who gets the final blow in order for this to work out. So in that way, I think that is a little bit limiting. For that reason, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I think that there is enough of an upside here because we are the squishy wizard, because we want to be able to heal off things, that I can give this a really good rating. However, I think that you also have a little bit of a limitation in that you need to be the one who gets the final one. You need to make sure that you are setting enemies up in the right place if you're trying to do AoE stuff. I think there's a lot of variables there that can cause this to not give you as much of a benefit as you want, and so for that reason I can't really go any higher. At level 6, we get Undead Thralls, and so we can now do the necromancy thing that everyone expected us to be able to do. So with this, we get the Animate Dead spell. If you already had it, then sorry, you don't get a replacement. And whenever you cast that spell, you can target one additional corpse to create either a zombie or skeleton. Then all of those that you have now risen back to undeath now get a really cool bonus. Number 1, the hit point maximum is increased by an amount equal to our wizard level, and the creature adds our proficiency bonus to weapon damage rolls. This is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. We can raise things from the dead better, we can have more of them, they're all less squishy, and they all hit harder. I don't know what you want, right? Zombies and skeletons both, yes, they are, I wouldn't exactly call them high level creatures because they are not. However, in great numbers, they can be quite overwhelming, and honestly, they're not bad. The worst thing about them is non-magical attacks, right? And so this, of course, might be something you can figure out later if you carry a bunch of bows on your back and give that to the skeletons if they're magical. That could be interesting, but that's really the biggest downside. But ultimately, they're really good. The skeletons are really fantastic in that they can operate machinery, they can do a lot of really cool things. They can fire bows, which is really the most effective thing they can do in combat, and so that's really, really cool. Zombies are really good because they can go in and grapple things, and they are immune to poison damage. So of course, you drop a cloud kill on them while they're grappling a bunch of things, they don't care if they're taking 0 damage from that. So that can be really, really cool. But they are all bulkier and they hit a little bit harder. I don't know what I don't know. Anime Dead is already good, and this just made it that much better. It's fantastic. It's honestly fantastic. It's a 10 out of 10 feature. It's really, really good how this buffs that spell, and it does it in a way that is really elegant. It scales well, and I have no problems with it. It's really good. At level 10, we get inured to undeath, and we now take on a little bit of undeath ourselves. Kind of. So with this, we now gain resistance to necrotic damage, and our hit point maximum cannot be reduced. Now, there are of course plenty of creatures out there that can reduce your hit point maximum, and then of course if that hit point maximum hits 0, you just die, right? So you are now immune to that kind of effect, and resistance to necrotic damage also is not bad. Obviously, that is going to be very, very campaign dependent, and it is going to be very, very enemy dependent on what you are fighting as to whether or not something is going to be reducing your hit point maximum. Obviously, in something like Curse of Strahd, it's going to come up a little bit more than in something like Wild Beyond the Witchlight, right? It just depends on what it is that you are dealing with, and so that's what can cause this to vary pretty wildly. Same thing with necrotic damage. You're going to be taking a lot of necrotic damage in certain settings, you're going to be taking absolutely 0 in others, and so it really just depends. And so for that reason, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. It's right down the middle. It's good, but obviously it could go higher if it's somewhere that actually gets a really good benefit out of it. It's a 9 or a 10, or if it never sees the light of day, it's much lower than that, obviously. So really just depends. So we're just going to go for something in the middle. Finally, at level 14, we get Command Undead, and this feature is very interesting. I see an undead and I want to control that. That's mine now. Very interesting. So with this, as an action, we can choose one undead that we can see within 60 feet of us. That creature has to make a charisma saving throw against our save DC. If it succeeds, we cannot use that feature on it again. If it fails, it becomes friendly to us and obeys our commands until we use the feature again. Now, some are harder to control. If it has an intelligence of 8 or higher, then it does have advantage on the save. But if it fails the saving throw and has an intelligence of 12 or higher, then it can repeat the save at the end of every hour until it succeeds and breaks out. This is a very interesting feature. Now, a lot of undead do not have a very high intelligence. There are a few exceptions, but a lot of them do not have very good intelligence. So, you're going to be good for the most part on these. And a lot of times their charisma is not that great either. So you're going to be good on that too. So overall, we're looking okay, right? The issue is that this really, again, becomes campaign and monster dependent. I don't know that if I am the DM facing one of these in my party, that I'm going to give you a Nightwalker, right? Nightwalkers are CR 20, but could be taken over by this. There's no maximum CR to this feature. So I'm not going to give you that as a pet, as the DM, right? I might give you something a lot weaker. I might give you something really small, but I'm going to avoid giving you certain things. And so for that reason, unless your DM just forgets or is incredibly generous, I don't know that you're going to get anything crazy busted out of this, but you may get something decent and you all feel powerful when going into whatever it happens to be. I think it just really depends on your DM. However, I have to think about the potential of this, and the potential is pretty strong. The potential is pretty good. I've got to give this a 9 out of 10. It's solid. The potential is good. We can just take a creature out of the fight and in fact make it fight for us. There is no limit to how strong it can be, and so if you're fighting some kind of powerful undead that is not very intelligent and is not very charismatic, which a lot of times you've got a pretty good chance of doing that unless it's something like a lich, then you're gonna be all set and you're gonna be doing just fine and have a really cool pet and at least a meat shield that you can kind of throw at things and deal some damage. So what do we think of the Necromancy Wizard? This is cool. This subclass does everything that I want it to do as a necromancer. You think of certain things, you want to be able to raise things from the dead, use them as an army, and you want to be able to gain health and gain benefits from them. You're doing all of that, right? Your summons are buffed in really effective ways. You are getting helped every time you kill something. You get some nice little defensive features, albeit a little bit situational, and then you can just kind of take control of certain undeads that happen to be nearby. All of this is good. Obviously, this is campaign dependent. If you never see anything undead in your campaign, this is going to feel a little bit useless in certain ways. It's not completely useless by any means, but obviously the command undead feature at level 14 is not going to work at all. If you're not fighting anything that deals necrotic damage, obviously that's not going to help. But for the most part, I think that this is going to work in most campaign settings and feel very helpful. For that reason, honestly, I was surprised when I read this, and I'm surprised that I'm ranking it this. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. I think it is very strong as an overall kit. I think it does exactly what you want it to do. I think it's very powerful, and I think anybody would have a really good time playing this. So that's our ranking for today. Let me know what you think down below. Is it too high? Is it too low? Should I have given it a 10 out of 10? Should I have given it a 5? Let me know down in the comments. Of course, we're going to be building one later this week, and so I hope you all are looking forward to that. I know that I am. And so until next time, stay safe out there, stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.